All right, I figured that we would stick with the snaky theme and check out some more of the Viperest of Vipers. This time facing up against someone I know. He's been by the stream before. He streams himself occasionally. WNTD SAS. All right, and once again on Highview. Whoa, my whole perspective has been switched, though. We've turned 90 degrees. Also, actually, what is this central area? Whoa. There is no small... I feel like a lot of the time right now, I'm seeing small pathways on Highview, not a complete blank out. I mean, it's very tiny stealth forest gaps right here because of the stone outcropping, right? But, like, overall, I'm not used to looking at the map and just seeing this much stealth forest. Should be fun, though, because we've got Roos versus Abasas here. Viper is going to be manning the OP civ, the most flexible civ, the civ that you can just pick and use any way you choose these days. Up against kind of the same, at least in a competitive standpoint. I think the Roos are phenomenal in competitive play right now. I would say on the ladders, I would give the edge to the Abasas still. I just think that the potency on any map in a generic fashion is a little bit better. So Viper definitely should have like the better civ. I think most people are willing to agree the Abasas have been overtuned and are definitely the best performing civ right now. The Roos would probably be close behind them. I think things like French are still incredibly potent. We just don't see them as much anymore. And I think people have just realized that when you consider competitive play, everyone is looking to ban out the Roos because of their flexibility on the custom maps and how good they are on some of them. So Abasas always get through. And if you know how to optimize the Abasas, like, you can basically win most games because not only do they have a phenomenal timing around the 15-20 minute mark, they're also probably the best civ in the hyper late game just because of the way they scale infinitely. And also they get some things that other people can't match, right? So you've got raw percentage increases on health. You've got trade, which gets buffed to ridiculous degrees when you choose to take the trade wing, which no other civ can really match, in my opinion. And then you've got to consider absurd things on top of that, like the Golden Ages here, which, you know, they give you the ridiculous gathering rates early on. But where it gets absurder is when you look at the production speeds at tier 3 in that hyper late game. That type of production speed, like if you consider that when you get to the hyper late game, if resource isn't a limited factor for either side, space is going to become a limited factor. The potency of the Abasas is that they can take limited space and multiply it by 1.2. Via this production speed. And no other civ can match that. Like, I really just think about it, like maybe the Delhi, but I don't really see the Delhi in that same hyper late game situation. What other civ can really produce at this scale? The only one that comes close really is the French with the 20% increased production speed on all cavalry buildings, but that's one type of building compared to a civ that's going to do it with every type of production building militarily. Anyway, look at these opens. One thing that the Roos do have going for them is phenomenal tech up timings. This civ is by far, it just has to be the best on an average at teching up. That being said, actually looking at the clock timings on this, Viper will probably hit his feudal age first. The reason actually is that SAS only invested 5 people in this build up. I think I usually see most people do 6. Occasionally you might see 8, but typically 6 is the number. And then what you'll see afterwards is a Roos player will pull towards a boar or a deer stack for some sort of play to increase that gathering rates. Looking at the ball placement, that definitely is an option on the table for SAS right now. He could play towards this central ball, or he could go for a TC drop on the north side with a double deer stack. Actually, a bigger fan of the deer play here. It's going to last him a lot longer in this game. Meanwhile, over in the base of Viper, he's finding the pain that is playing against the Roos. They want value out of their scouts, so they'll do whatever they can to find it. An interesting little choice here, actually. SAS has gone after the mill. Not the worst choice, considering you can see that Viper has prioritized branching in the mining camp into the Golden Age. Ah, psych. It's covered. Ignore him, I'm an idiot. I thought he maybe didn't have it in range. It looked like it was actually just out of range. Like, what is that overlap? So this is getting the fire armor, which means this scout is taking a very long time to do anything at all. And tech ups are finally going to be complete on both sides. Let's see what SAS chooses to do. If he pulls the scouts back now, and this is something for Roos players to take note of, right? When you're trying to be super efficient with your scouts early on, if you do what SAS has done here, but then you pull back the scouts, it usually makes it very obvious to your opponent that you're going for a ball play. So I think that's something that SAS should be conscious of if he goes to this ball now. I don't think he's going to, though. I think the timing's a little bit too late now, and also you just leave yourself very exposed, as opposed to the idea of going second TC, which it looks like he's going for, which I like a lot more. In fact, he could go for the board TC just if he wanted gold. That's actually, ooh, that's an interesting choice I think SES has to make. He either secures food on the northern flank, or he secures gold on the western. And it looks like he's going to choose to secure gold because he's, of course, going to get the boar alongside it. Logic here is while the deer stacks are better because they'll last a lot longer, what he really wants here is gold. He doesn't have safe gold. You can either go all the way to this back corner and wall yourself off with a TC over here, or you'd have to play a TC to the west side because you've got 3 gold stacks on one screen. There you go. In for the play now. Needs to be careful, that one villager. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And the villagers are coming from Viper. Uh-oh. They need to get the shivs out. That really is a one-hit, so he's going to go down. Poor little pony. And it's going to be a pull away. No. SAS. Wow. I mean, I'm very surprised by this. I think SAS, maybe he could have killed the villagers. Probably shivved at least 2 of them and then gotten out. Instead, he just says it's not worth the waste of time. I'm going to head over to the east side. The logic here now is that Viper has idled 5 of his villagers to run out into the mid-map. He's built an outpost, but come on, guys. It's not a civ that's going to eat pig. So it's not like he's going to lose out, shall we say. It's not like he's going to lose out and his opponent's going to gain. So actually not the worst play, but still unfortunate for SAS to get caught like that. And wait, what? Okay. I don't know what happened there. Wait, what? Is he... I think maybe SAS is afraid. Because you're right next to the stealth forest. Like, if you want optimization, you'd go here in the center. Obviously, SAS is going to struggle to see this, but this is the place. Instead, he goes on the edge, which is closer to his base, closer to the wood line. But you're not getting as much extracted value. Like, your deers aren't actually that close at all. So I'm starting to wonder, actually, if SAS took out these carcasses or Viper did. It feels like if you took them out, you know there's space right here in the center. It might have been that Viper snuck in and sniped a few out. And speaking of TC play, Viper is, of course, going to go for his, and he's going to get so much more value out of this. He's got the berry stack plus the deer close by. Much better placement to open up with for Viper. We'd have to remember, this was a backup position for SAS. It's not where he wanted to be originally. Looks like he is going to get access to the boar again, though, to his credit. He came out into the mid-map with a few troops. Looks like it's going to cost him some scouts along the way to torch this building, but he will be able to get rid of it before the fortification comes out. So actually a good heads-up play. If he delayed this at all, this would have been fortified, and this assault would not have worked at all. However, it's going to cost him another scout, and I believe that's 1 scout left for SAS, so very limited vision in this game for him. Has at least gone for the horseman, though. Radians might be a little bit difficult. However, if Viper keeps his villagers out on these berry patches, it's more easy. We'll see what the follow-up play is going to be for SAS. I would like to see him go back on the board. I think you need that extra value. Otherwise, you're playing a losing battle right now. Also, Spears now being encouraged by the arrival of Horseman. So Viper is going to move out into the mid-map to rebuild that outpost. He does seem to be worried about this. Really big, awkward situation here, actually, because SAS is going for it again. Oh, no, and he can't stop it this time either. I mean, actually, if anything, SAS had a better opportunity to stop it last time than this time. Just a few spears are going to keep the horsemen at bay, and that's also going to keep the villies back. More idle time for SAS, and this has to be becoming infuriating by now. He wants that boar so badly. I'd say in this situation, sneak north. It might be a little bit better. Pull the boar down towards the stealth forest and then plop down a hunting cabin on the edge here so your opponent would have to come directly in. Because something we do have to keep in mind is that when you look at Viper's side, he doesn't have a scout. The scout's gone. It was killed. So it's unlikely that you'd be scouted out on this north side. I actually think it's a much better choice for SS to make than what he's doing right now. Well, optimizing his choices, seeing as that TC was a little bit lopsided. He did start dropping hunting cabins. Not the worst thing to do in these type of generations because you are next to stealth forest, right? So you can see he's getting 18 gold a minute, which isn't going to change the world anytime soon, but it does mean that in a reasonable amount of time, this hunting cabin would have paid for itself, especially considering the amount of efficiency it's giving you in terms of food gathering. There we go, SCA. See, he knows. He's like, coach, you're right. What am I doing down here? I need to be going north. This is the play. Because this will not be scouted by Viper. He has no logical reason to come north side. Look at this. In fact, even less so considering he played south. So he pushed to west corner, and it means he's gone 3 TCs, but now he's essentially carved his territory. It's incredibly unlikely that Viper looks north until at least Castle Age now. And SAS is going to be going for another TC. Now, this part of the plan I did not expect, but I'm actually quite infused to see it. I think this can work pretty well. He's going to put it next to the outcropping, probably the intent to go for a keep drop later on, possibly forward towards these wood lines over here. But in the meantime, of course, it's just going to be the extra value on top of the ball. Otherwise, you're building all these villages, and you have to question mark what you're using them for. I wouldn't actually be totally against him going 4 TCs here, but I do want to see Castle first, especially considering we see Viper is targeting that as it stands. Knights are also hitting the hill. The hill? The field. I guess there's a hill involved as well for SAS. Let's see what he can actually do with this, because it's 3 TCs and he now knows. I don't expect him to double down on Knights. Then again, it doesn't kill you outright to do this as the Roost. Like, you can still upgrade these when you go Castle. But I will warn him now, like, this choice to continue on the Knight front is going to leave you behind by a decent margin, because I don't know if he suspects Viper is even teching up right now. He should get a feeling for it, though, considering Viper has no military really to speak of. For those wondering, these games are not directly live in the moment. They were played, I think, 12 hours ago by Viper. So he is back on AoE 4. I believe right now he's ranked 64th in the world. Only 64th. And don't think this guy was on Twitter questioning why he was seeded so low. Ranked 64th on the leaderboard. Ah! SAS just trying to be a nuisance on the backside, but it looks like Viper's going to have none of it. It's going to be a very comfortable tech up time, and Wall's now going up for SAS. This is going to cause heavy delays. Final point towards the center of the map as well. Although I don't know if this is really where you want to be playing, considering Viper has the outpost, the fortified outpost up here. So he'll see everything in play in this area. He should see this as well, what SAS is about to do with the walls. Tech up is now underway on the Roost side. And it should be the Abbey of Trinity back at home. Eco is more or less locked in with each other. And the cool thing actually for SAS is by playing on boar and playing on deer, he's somewhat competing with the economic power of the Abbasids. It's still better for the Abbasids because berry gathering rates are phenomenal and fresh food stuff savings are incredible. But this is the way you play up against the Abbasids if you want to do the CC boom play. You have to acknowledge that they're going to be condensed at home, and you should be able to take mid-map as a civ like the Roost. I love that detail from SAS. Just need to see him one-up it now, because right now it feels like trajectory-wise, Viper is going to rocket higher in the next 5 minutes than what SAS can. This is a very slow tech up actually out of SAS. I think it's because he wants to cover his income in the build-up so he doesn't weaken his military upon arrival. And you can see that by the fact he's still producing more knights. Only in small quantities, though, which is a bit surprising. Then again, he has created a funnel point, right? So maybe he doesn't want to clash into that funnel point when he could be up against spears. Looks like that's not going to be a concern, though, as Viper is making his way out now with men-at-arms. Interesting choice, actually, to go MAA. I didn't expect this. I thought he'd maybe just try to go spears into lances himself, something like that. Men-at-arms can work, though. You've got to force SAS's hand to go into crossbows. The logic here now is that SAS might struggle to get enough gold together for crossbows plus knights. But I think Viper's play is slightly misinformed. I don't believe he knows anything about this northern TC. So this whole idea that his opponent can't afford the gold price of knights plus crossbows is probably based on a 2 TC economy. Yeah, Viper is definitely not actually revealing anything up the north side, so he doesn't know about it at all. He's just actually tunnel vision right now towards the base of SAS. SAS at the beginning of these clashes is suffering because the upgrade hasn't come through for the Knights yet. Good identification by Viper. This is the fight he 100% wants to take. To charge to finish off another. He'll just have to settle for a few archers probably. In fact, oh no. Okay, Viper just got hand on the micro there. He absolutely got handled there. SAS intentionally pulled away when he saw that Viper was attacking individual targets. While on the center, it's going to be a whiff. Close but no cigar here. And this Lancer. Okay, he will at least take out another knight. But SAS somewhat turning that around. However, he's going to have to do more than just turning it around. He's going to have to find a way of taking the lead here. Viper is not slowing down. In fact, he's now switching into Spearman with Military Academy. A very respectable choice considering that you've just seen SAS transition to crossbows. Viper, oh, he knows where to strike. You're playing in the deep grass with a snake, sir. What did you think was going to happen? Well, luckily for SAS, Viper isn't instantly going to strike at more, but he's going to see it afterwards. Oy, 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 Viper, he has so much food to use, and that's why you're actually seeing him go to Military Academy. This is going to allow him to up the push out, keep in the center as well. Now, one weakness for Viper down the line is he's going to need to transition into farm soon. These food sources are quickly running out, especially with the fact he's now going Military Academy. He's going to burn even more food than he already was. These gathering rates. These gathering rates are pretty insane. He hasn't even made them as good as they could be. I mean, he could get agriculture when he's switching the farms, which is now coming. That's when it's getting really absurd. Well, let's get a buy time for SS to try and return, but so far, he has not banked a single relic. What? I can't believe it. I mean, this is just to Viper's credit. He's played the mid-map phenomenally well. The cool thing, actually, take notice of this. Viper keeps pulling groups of 3 Lancers and going. This is a pretty effective number. It means that you can snipe out any monk you find before he can wall lull you. It also means that you can easily take out 2 villagers with each strike in because the initial Lancers by a follow-up strike is almost guaranteed at that stage. It's actually a really cool play. And SES is the cool plays now. We talked about this. The Northern TC was not spotted. We knew this was coming. It's going to be a keep drop, but this doesn't actually screw Viper over. In fact, right now, I think SAS is the one who's going to get screwed over. Villagers committing to get it up. They should be able to finish it off, but the price is going to be high. And he's falling behind. I mean, Viper, he's almost 30 villagers ahead now. This is getting out of control. He'll garrison his side. Just enough room in there for pretty much everyone, bar one. Poor little Marine stuck outside. And this keep drop doesn't really do anything is the problem. Because look, there's a second Northern wood line. Viper is fine. He'll just move back there. So SAS now has to make a choice. Do I do this again? Do I lose another 4 or 5 villages and then be even further behind? Or do I accept as a done deal? I'll give SAS credit. He's trying to push it. He's trying to put the pedals in the metal. But the problem he's facing here is he never walled entirely. And I think this is what's really cost him a lot, is that Viper has always had a way in. This central area where Viper is the only one with vision has been exploited fantastically well by him. More than just exploit for the vision. You can see it's also for the eco gains in the center. Eco gains that are finally going to be punished, but ultimately in small quantities. I mean, these knights aren't going to achieve enough damage the other way. It's still a 30-point lead for Viper. And the keep drop will ensure that SAS can't get more frisky inside the base of the snake. Army's going to have to run away. In fact, Army is probably going to be wiped out. That doesn't feel good. So here's a kind of crazy one that I don't really feel like I see it talked about enough, is the idea of keep value in terms of what it kills. So we just have, what, 6 crossbowmen there at 120 resources each and 3 archers? You want to do the maths on that? Because what you quickly realize is a keep costing 800 resources, decent trade. Now, of course, the keep takes idle time and your village is building up, and stone is more finite than food and gold. But it's an interesting kind of mathematical equation to assign, because there is really... Oh, what? Speaking of the maths, that was minus 10 villages. Viper never realized. He got tunnel visioned. As I was doing my maths, he was hitting the math. Heads, over the head. And it works pretty damn well. I mean, honestly, like, I still think it's a fair point around the keep math being pretty cool. Like, you're securing your defensive point, but also against divey armies like you saw from SAS, you're trading out the value of resource and actually sometimes coming out ahead, like in that fight. So it's a pretty cool endeavor. And the whole logic, like, yeah, you know, you have to idle to build the keep up is true. But if you have prolonged value as well, like, it's honestly, it's just the cherry on top. But truly, the cherry on top SAS, a turnaround moment, you'd think, what he done here. Yet, we look once again at the eco count, and it's almost like it never happened. Just so many villagers keep dying from SAS's side. I mean, that keep didn't really achieve much in the end. The double traps were able to get through it. There's a little bit of exchange over there as well, but whoopty frickin' doodah in the eyes of Viper. He's now playing wide. And SAS, I think he might have to switch the plan a little bit because Knights are not serving him well anymore. Viper now, but Imperial, SAS. I mean, he can't follow suit. He actually has to try and end the game now. I just don't know how he ends the game quick enough. Viper, one weakness he does have is he should be running out of resources soon in his corner. But as we can see, he's fine. He played Central Gold Vein, right? He lost a lot of villagers, but that slowed down the exhaustion of his safer resources. And he's now wiggling his way up north side where SAS doesn't have a leg to stand on because he only built a TC here, no proxy base at all, which may be to his detriment. Clash comes out from SAS as well. At least buys time for the walls, but costs him more knights again. Meanwhile, the center is now going to begin to dive in, but the keep is dropped there. Cannon placements coming in soon. Viper, he's got control of more or less everywhere he needs to. SS's only option is to go south side, but as we can see, he's got nothing in place for that. Knights just continue to be a nuisance. Outpost also being set up. Nicely done by Viper. Gets the vision just in time, so he sees everything he needs to. By the way, I don't know if I want to do SAS dirty like this, but I kind of got to. He built a monastery over here. Have you noticed something wrong with this monastery? Oh, dear. In fairness to him, this is criminal. Look how buried that relic is. You clearly can't see it by the giant gold swiveling light above it. That actually hurts. Things that won't hurt, though, is this tiny raid force. I mean, they're going to be pitiful in comparison. You can see the diving coming out from the Lancers. Lancers that are probably going to be upgraded. Maybe he just actually throws this away now. I think it's much better for Viper now just to go for a condensed force down the center. And yeah, that's exactly what he's going to be doing. Mass racks being set up. And Camel Riders as well. Pretty cool play. Camel Riders with their better attack speed and their bonus damage up against these Knights are going to make short work of them. Also a fairly chunky unit. A unit that doesn't have bonus damage expended upon it by these crossbows. So actually not the worst choice. Spearman is a different matter, but that's what your spears on your own side are meant to deal with. However, for now, it's just going to be MAA from Viper. These cavalry units on the north side are still being a nuisance, but Camel Rider is now hitting the field to clean that up. Viper might want to get the barding. He might want to get the increased movement speed, actually. That'll be probably the next call here. Going to the Camel Rider barding for the extra armor, so you can always trade. And then you're going to want from the, I believe it's blacksmiths. I don't know why I always... There it is. Camel handling. Put you up at horseman speed, so then the heavy cavalry can never get away. Actually, look, I never actually checked the... Yeah, Camel Rider barding is actually really good value. If you want to go mass camel, like the actual cost of it, if you compare to what it would cost normally to get 2 armor out of a blacksmith's, it's absurdly efficient. Still no camel handling, though. Just happy to keep them running indefinitely. And the wall's layered now. SAS. I don't know. He's just kind of doing crop circles at this stage, it feels like. Wall after wall, but I don't know if it's going to buy you enough time at this rate. You need something else. SAS. I mean, he's going to actually fail to pop cap himself before Viper does. And Viper's going to have not only just the mass, but also the quality to go with it. Camel Riders finally able to chase down and finish off the last of the cavalry. Outpost also starting to go up, so he'll know if SAS tries to flank on the sides. And at this stage, SAS kind of feels pinned into a corner. I think he really has to out-micro Viper in these fights to come out ahead. He has done a good job of walling off the flanks to try and condense this into a direct fight, but that direct fight does feel detrimental to him. Due to the fact that you've got the military boot camp, due to the fact that you've got to deal with these elite units now, and you're stuck with veterans. For the moment, Viper actually going to show some respect, or maybe not. He thinks he can raid on the flank instead. Not the worst choice considering there's a keep in the center. A keep on both sides, in fact, so that should prevent SAS from pushing out of his base. And also, because he's gone for a static comp, it's very difficult for him to react on the flanks like this. He's going to have to, though. All the military being committed over in this area. Viper, I mean, the longer SAS waits, the worse it gets. You can see biology coming through in 15 seconds, not to mention the Master Smith's upgrade, so even more melee armor. He's going to be able to break through pretty quick here. Trebs in the center just trading on the keep, so it looks like all the focus is now directed north side here, but you can see just how deep Viper can strike. Making his way in now, dealing with the wooden fortresses as he goes, and the Knights are going to be let loose upon the villages. For some more idle time, and oh, SAS in the middle of the farm transition. He's been delaying as long as he possibly can, but now he might be in trouble because Viper goes to the back corner. He's going to get extra value. It's not just the fact he blocks the cap on the sacred site. Because SAS went for that, he just revealed his villagers back here. He'll at least be able to garrison them up, but there's going to be a commitment coming out, and even if it wasn't for that commitment working and killing the wooden fortress, it's the fact that you've now got 8 farms idle that you just built. Oy, oy. While that's happening, you see the diving comes out. Only 2 villagers building a keep. What? SAS, no. You can't be this greedy. They're going to dive the TC. The torch damage is absurd at this point. Viper. I mean, he's just outplaying SAS. SAS is being taken for a run, a jog in his own base. If this army had been in place, keep would have went up. This army couldn't dive like this, but instead, mistakes were most definitely made by SAS. Ones that are going to make this very difficult to recover. Especially now with the second wave coming in down the center from Viper. You can see any sort of counter raid is near impossible for SAS to pull off. Only 1 horseman making it through. That's just not going to cut it. Villagers on the front line also exposed in trouble, and pings have been going off over here already. I don't even think SAS realizes. Great little maneuver by Viper. He pulled the horsemen further north so they can't garrison. Now they're all dead. And SAS doesn't even realize just how many villages he lost. He's distracted elsewhere because there's still dives in 3 or 4 different locations in his base. This is out of control. Viper is out of control. You do not let a poisonous snake out of his cage. Then again, the mistake there is that you try to put a snake in a cage. And cages that usually have bars and just sliver through the bars. And this kind of fits because he always found a bar to sliver through. Whether it's on the flanks or down the center. Viper's everywhere. He played high view perfectly, I'd say. Like, he used the stealth forest to advantage from a very early point, actually getting that outpost down, that not only blocked out the ball, but also gave him vision, critical vision in the center to see what was coming. And he played wide flanks in a way that SAS could only dream of. Now that we're here, it feels all but inevitable that SAS is going to lose this game. Trebs are getting ever closer. The keep's not going to last indefinitely. And your crossbows don't even really feel like they're actually countering out the men-at-arms at this stage. Just too many fires to put out and not enough firemen in the station. Good attempt, though. SAS, always good to see that lad playing. Especially love the way he plays the roost, but in this situation, he never got to really play them the way they were intended. Viper, showing you exactly why the Abbasses is such an S tier civ.